discipline and taking action. This is what's on my mind today. Discipline is always going to be one of the most important things in filmmaking and in any endeavor, much like the endeavor I'm undertaking here. Now, discipline, to do, that whole Mike Tyson phrase, you do something that you hate like you love it. I don't think that's the phrase, but I could look it up right now, but we're going to go with that. And taking action. Taking action's always been something very important to me. Why say that you're a filmmaker if you don't actually make movies? Or like say you're a director if you don't direct little movies. The filmmakers of the past are always telling us, of the past, present, future, whatever, but they're all saying pretty much the same thing if you listen to them. Go out and make movies. And that's always been my mantra, to go out and just make little short films and do that sort of thing. And that is what I will do here. But in recent times, it's really now in recent times it's been an issue of discipline, the discipline to write every day, to write, ideas that come to your mind, to write scripts, to finish scripts. Even now making these videos, it's an act really of discipline and taking action. That's what I want them to be. Now, in thinking about this, I need to apply it to my writing. This is, if this is anything, it's really an accountability sort of exercise, staying accountable to myself, really. And if I say that I'm going to try to write something every day, then at least now I know that that's something that I said, and that's something that I need to do. And it's interesting because I work out every day, because now I have a gym close to me and it's part of my things that I do to stay sane. And it's not like I'm a big meathead or anything. It's really an exercise in staying sane and staying centered and staying ready. If that makes sense. I used to run a lot, but now I'm working out. And it's to give that mental peace, that mental fluidity. And so, it's just interesting. But, this discipline that I need to also have is for reading interesting books. For, even here I have a book that I need to read more, directing actors. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in a bit. But for now, it's really just trying to say that, discipline and taking action. Right now, putting the camera on. This is my practicing of taking action, something that I need to do. But I must say, since uploading the first video yesterday, I've been wrecked with self-doubt. Really that's it, self-doubt and feeling vulnerable about doing this. Because then I suddenly thought to myself, but maybe I don't really have anything going on. Maybe I don't have anything to actually talk about. Then as soon as I start recording the camera, I completely lose every sense of what I want to say, which is a challenge. Even now I thought I had it clear, but now I'm speaking and I can't remember what I'm saying, and I'm distracted. But we're talking about discipline. That's something the discipline to focus on a topic, and the discipline to have a focused flow of words coming out of my mouth. So that's what I want. That's what I'm trying to practice. And today I said that once I started doing these videos that I would finally reach out to some people here in Sicily that I need to reach out to. So I'm going to do that today, and I'm going to speak aloud what I'm going to write. But all of these things, what I watch, like I said, the books that I read. Today at the gym, what I usually do is I do a weights part and then I do a cardio bit, and usually I watch something on my phone whilst doing the cardio, incline walking or whatever. And usually I watch some stupid football thing. I mean, not stupid, I love football, but something brain rotty. If you know what I mean, CoffeeZilla, crypto scams, all that sort of stuff. But for ages, I've been like, no, I should be using this time to listen to interviews with filmmakers or, you know, that sort of stuff. So today, I remember meeting, very fortunate to meet Rainn Wilson, who plays Dwight in The Office. And he said that when he was younger, he used to watch, or even now maybe, he used to watch the director's commentary of films, because you tend to learn a lot about the film as the director is rewatching it and talking about the process. So today I just thought, okay, I'm on this treadmill. Let me do something useful. Let me, you know, watch something that, or listen to something that is actually going to help me. So I listened to this, the Francis Ford Coppola director's commentary for The Godfather. And, you know, he was talking about making that movie, especially the parts in Sicily. I found it interesting, talking about how hard he had to work to convince the studio to get Marlon Brando, which is crazy. It's funny how these things happen, and how he did this amazing screen test with Marlon Brando, and the whole process of directing Marlon Brando was not to talk about the craft, it was to kind of get to know this man he calls a genius. You know, he's a fascinating man who would speak about termites, you know, all this kind of random stuff. He was just an interesting person, and it's an interesting reflection on how you should direct different actors and different personalities, and who needs what. You know, everyone's different. But then I was watching another video about Francis Ford Coppola breaking down his career, and he said something very interesting. You know, he made Godfather 1 and Part 2, Part 1 and Part 2, and then actually this was before the studio was asking him to do Godfather Part 2, he was resistant, because what he wanted to do is that he wanted to try and make something different. He didn't want to become the guy who made the Godfather movies. And so then, you know, he was talking about how, you know, this thing that he said is, if you make movies that you don't know how to make, then you learn a lot. If you make movies you don't know how to make, then you learn a lot. And I think that's incredible. And I'd never really thought of that before. And for sure, in my small career so far and in the short films that I've made, I have been guilty of making the sort of films that I know how to make, trying to feel like this is my voice, I should do my voice in this specific way. But I never thought, oh, what if I made a film I don't know how to make? I had this block in my brain, but maybe that's something I need to do whilst I'm here. I'm in Sicily. Why don't I make a film I don't know how to make and see what happens? Obviously, his thing was Apocalypse Now was the big test for him that he talks about later. But I think this mantra is very, very true. To just make the movies you don't know how to make, because you learn a lot. And I think that requires discipline and the balls and to take action and do something like that. So today I've taken action in the sense that I went to the gym. I know for a lot of people that's the hardest thing. For me, it's the easy thing, because it's just mental clarity. You know, I say my prayers, but I also go to the gym. Those are my two things. But really, you know, I live here and I don't speak the language. So I have all these books. That could help me learning Italian. I have a 399-day streak on the finest app, Duolingo. And yet, my Italian is subpar after 3 months. I'm not expecting to be fluent, but I'm expecting to be better than I am here at this point. So far I've lacked the discipline to do that every day. And I'm never going to make anything here if I don't at least try to have a grasp on the language. So something I need to do today. By the way, it's 3 p.m, almost 4 p.m. I've done all this stuff today. I went to the gym, made my wife lunch, and it's 4 p.m. so not very much, but the day, there's a lot left in the day, I can still do it. I need to do some, what I need to do today is I need to prepare. So something that I'm doing is I need to prepare for this on Saturday. I am helping teach. I'm teaching a class online to students in Iran. And I think, you know what, I'm going to park this point and I'm going to speak about it in another clip. But yes, I need to prepare some of that. I need to do some more stuff with the character bios. I need to hang the laundry. So maybe I'll hang the laundry. But okay, to bring this section to a close. Something I have to have the discipline for as well is to have the courage to reach out to these new contacts that I was saying. And I need to do that. And I'll finish this video by doing that. But what I want to talk about is what I want to, as I hang the laundry, maybe what I'll talk about is when I made some films in Macedonia doing this exact thing. Reaching out to people I didn't know to try and make a movie with them. So as I hang the laundry, I will tell that story. When you think of Sicily, do you think of this? I bet you don't. But it's the winter, it's January. It was lovely yesterday, 17 degrees and, you know, sunny. Today it's not so nice. But I bet you're wondering, it's raining, so how are you going to hang the laundry? Watch. With a simple flick of the wrist, we bring this curtain down and we hang the laundry. But you know, this is not at all what I said I would be talking about in any of these videos. So let me get to the point I was making before. In 2020, I moved to North Macedonia, to Skopje, North Macedonia. And this was just after I finished film school. I finished film school. Oh God, this is gonna hit my camera. I finished film school in 2019. This is not the best thing to be doing. Okay, I finished film school in 2019, right? And I didn't know what I was going to do with my time. I had a bit of difficulty figuring it out. So I had the opportunity to go and live in Skopje, North Macedonia, to do some voluntary work and to give a period of time to that. And you know, because it's a similar sort of voluntary work that my wife does. And in that time, you know, just immediately after film school, I maybe wasn't sure how I was going to make it as a filmmaker. It was the pandemic, and so I thought, you know, life is already going to be on hold anyway, so why not just go and figure this out there? And I'd been living there for about a year, or just under a year, and I suddenly... Okay, there we go. So, let me set the picture a little bit more. Let me just get the laundry. So, when I was at film school, the way they teach you to make films is that you need every single aspect of, to be sorted for you. You needed every single aspect of your filmmaking. You needed, like, to make a film, you had, okay, if you wanted to direct the film, you wanted to write the film. If you wanted to direct it, then you need a writer. And then you also need a script supervisor. And you need basically every single role possible just to make a simple film. They teach you to do it in the biggest sense. So the first two films I made, I had all of those things. But when I got to Macedonia, I had no contacts, nothing. I had no one to call upon. And yet I still wanted to make films. You know, although I was there for voluntary reasons, I still had this passion in me that I wanted to make films and wanted to, you know, make things work. So I had to learn to make films on my own. And the first film I made on my own was actually when I came back to England for a visit, because I needed to do something with my visa. And so then I made this film called Steps, which is on this YouTube channel. It was just me and a camera on a beach. And it was quite well received actually by an Instagram audience of my friends. And so I felt encouraged that I'd kind of made something interesting just on my own. So then I started to experiment when I went back to Macedonia. Fast forward to, because I'll talk about that sort of stuff again in the future, but fast forward to the summer of 2021. I wanted to make a little short film, where the seed of that idea was my own experience learning the Macedonian language, which was a funny experience in itself. There's another time to speak about that. But I wanted to make this short film about someone testing out the Macedonian that they're learning, right? Which was me. It was based on me. And I had made a few friends by that point. Not many, but a few. And these friends offered to help me make this film, because it ended up being five scenes, a short film with 5 scenes. And these other short films that I'd been making on my own were, very short, and just me, very simple, just one scene. So now I was going to try and do a full-on film, having watched, having recently watched the film Coffee and Cigarettes by James Jarmusch. I felt very encouraged by this sort of if you do a film just about conversations and people meeting each other and that sort of thing. Anyway, you're probably all wondering why I'm telling this story, but what I did was I reached out. I had a Macedonian teacher at the time, and she was really lovely, and she had a friend who was an actress. So I thought, okay, let me try to meet this friend of hers, and let's see if we can make a movie together. This was it. Let's see if we can make a movie together. So we made this little film about 2 friends sitting on a bench. And because I met this friend for a coffee, she then introduced me to another actor friend, and it went from there. Just from one Macedonian teacher led me to speaking to all these actors. And so then I made this little scene of 2 friends talking on a bench. The friend is thinking about how her sister is using TikTok, and the kind of fears that TikTok is taking over young kids, which is at the time in 2021 it was it just kind of come out, and so you have had these kids doing all these TikTok dances, and I remember these precocious 8-year-old Macedonian kids with American accents speaking to me, and I'm thinking, what is the world coming to? These kids are Macedonian, but they're American. And so this little short film, or the scene from the short film, was kind of discussing that, and it was also reflecting on my own feelings about what makes a good person, and who truly forgives us when we've done something wrong. Is it the person, or is it a higher power? Anyway, so then I was interested in this whole new filmmaking format, so I wanted to continue this theme of people speaking to each other in public spaces, or people interacting in public spaces. So this movie then turned into something a little bit bigger, and I needed more actors. Then I ended up writing, like I think I said before, ended up being 5 scenes that I wanted to film, and it was over the summer, and I'd maybe done this first one at the beginning of summer, and through other friends I found some other actors, and I remember messaging these people on Instagram, cold messaging them, Macedonian people, messaging them in English, saying, hello, I've got this scene for a film I'd love you to be in. And I'd never seen these people act before. I'm judging this purely on just the fact that they call themselves actors. So I reach out to these people and ask them to be in this kind of scene that I want to make. And some of them don't respond to me, and some of them say yes. And some of them you know, you don't go to Skopje to be a great actor. And I believe in paying actors, but my whole setup was very simple. And I remember this one actress wanted money, and I remember thinking, I don't have any money to pay you. This is all just an experiment. And you should pay your actors. If you have the means, pay your actors. But when you're experimenting, you need to find your people that are willing to experiment with you. And although some of these people, I've never seen them again, I feel a great kinship with them because of what they did for me and what we did together. And, you know, so then I found the rest of these actors, and I remember throughout that whole summer, the summer of 2021 will go down for me as one of my most special summers, because I just went out, and 5 different occasions I went and just shot these different scenes across Skopje, this southern European ex-socialist country, like it's so, my whole experiences in Macedonia deserve their own little video, or deserve more time to it than just hanging up laundry. But there was something very special about that, and that all came from just taking action, and for having the discipline to write something, to turn thoughts into action, write something and go out and do it, So, all this is to say, I'm in a similar position now. I'm in an even stronger position now because I know so much more about the creative process, about filmmaking, about everything, that's something I need to do. So there's these people that I need to reach out to, because I reached out to this, after my first, there's more laundry here, but I don't have enough space anymore. I know you're looking at that bit over there, but it's just not going to work. I hope this is recording. It is, yeah. It's just not going to work over there, you see. Anyway, so there's this guy that back in that time, my first short film, I followed this Italian DOP, and then it turns out he's from Catania 5 years later when I finally messaged him. And he doesn't live here anymore, but he put me in contact with someone that I've been putting off messaging for a week now. And he said that he would be interested. I'm sure this friend would be interested if you messaged him. So we're going to message this guy. You and me. It's personal between me and you. You big stiff idiot. It's a line from Tyson Fury, the British boxer. Right, let's get on with it. So, here we go. Let's reach out to this guy. Let's go to Instagram. So the person that I messaged before was called what's his name? Xerxes. No, his name is Merk. Mirko Vids. He had 12,000 followers. He's a big deal. He's got a picture of him and the Pope. And we had a chat, and so here we go. Lorenzo, probably shouldn't say his name actually. I'm not going to say his name. Not his full name, but his name is Lorenzo. So, you'd imagine, right? So if I apply the same sort of logic that I did back in the day, right? So this guy is called, the guy that I messaged is called Mirko, right? I have to mention the friend that we have in common, or this contact that we have in common. And immediately, I need to go in for asking to go for a coffee immediately. So if I say, ciao Lorenzo, I'm so sorry that I don't speak, I'm writing to you, I'm writing to you in Italian. No, English. You know what? Let me write this and then I'll read it to you. Ciao Lorenzo, nice to meet you. I'm so sorry that I'm writing to you in English. I was talking to someone you know, Mirko, the filmmaker from Sicily who is now living in Rome. I'm a filmmaker originally from London, but I recently moved full-time to Catania because I married a Sicilian. Smiley face. I plan to make films here and start doing as much as possible to make things happen. Maybe it's not so easy, but something can happen, big or small. I see that you're a performer, a singer and an actor. Would you be interested in getting a coffee sometime to discuss being a creative person in Sicily? If maybe language is a problem, I'm sure my wife can accompany me to help with translation. She was from Maceriale, but we both now live in Catania. Just in case, I'll send this message in Italian with Google Translate. See, that's that is how it's done. It might not be. It might go terribly wrong and they might not message back, in which case I'm going to have to persist because I don't have many contacts here. Really none. So this is the first step. Then I also have someone else I need to message. But that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to message a few more people. And yeah, that's really it for today. I'm just going to message these people. I have to prepare, so to talk about this here, Directing Actors, Judith Weston. This was a book I read at university during my master's. Didn't finish it, but I read some of it, and my plan is to read this and I'll share. But something I'm doing on Saturday, like I said, so there are some people in Iran who do not have the right to education because of their religious beliefs. So something that, an initiative that started to help them get a proper education was that this, this underground university in Iran, where these students go to different people's houses and have Zoom calls with some professors from all over the world. Now, okay, before you're thinking, I'm not a professor, okay, I'll explain why I'm doing some teaching in a second. But these people get full-fledged degrees. You know, I know some of these people who, this man was in prison for 5 years because of beliefs, and after he came out of prison, he went to this underground university, got a degree, and he eventually ended up using that degree to get into Cambridge in the UK to come here, and he was able to travel with a student visa. Now, something that is happening is that a production company that I'm associated with, that I also helped co-found, called Tiny Speck Productions, was offered the opportunity to teach a bit of filmmaking to these Iranian students online, and it was a small course, not a full degree, like a small course done. And so they've done a multitude of lessons, the other people in the company, and they've asked me to do one on acting and directing actors as the final session. So that's something I need to prepare as well. And I think that's going to be a really interesting exercise to unpack what have been my own learnings about directing actors and that whole side of things, because it's a very complicated thing, and actors are very, very strange people, but you gotta love them as well. They're great, and they really can move us in ways that is unexpected. And their choices for different, you might write a scene and you might have it in specific thought of it in your mind, but then you give it to the actor and they take it a direction you never expected, and they elevate it to a level that you can't take credit for. So that's going to be cool to teach them about actors and finding the right actors and all that sort of stuff. And okay, end of day 2 on this process. I need to get my quotes book so I can read a quote to finish off. So, let's finish off today. This has been good. I feel better about this. It might be even longer, but I feel better about this one. The first one's always the hardest, isn't it? I feel good about these things that I'm doing. It's not quite solving the cash flow problem, but I've got time for that. And do you like my tie? It's felt it's a good place to put the microphone. Might make this my thing. So, okay. So if we look at this next quote, another quote from this book, remember, pause and reflect, Meditations for Creativity. In this wonderful new age, art is worship. The more thou strivest to perfect it, the closer wilt thou come to God. What bestowal could be greater than this, that one's art should be even as the act of worshipping the Lord? That is to say, when thy fingers grasp the paintbrush, it is as if thou wert at prayer in the temple. I've butchered that, but it's pretty impressive, right? Pretty impressive. What a ridiculous thing to say. It's pretty impactful. The more we strive to perfect art, the closer we'll come to God. Like I said, if you believe in God, that's pretty cool. When the fingers grasp the paintbrush, it's as though we're in the temple praying to God. So it's like, our art, our work, everything can be an act of prayer and meditation if it's approached in the right way. So that's what we'll strive to do. Okay, so I've got some. I guess I'll get on with the rest of these things I need to do. And yeah, maybe you didn't notice, but I changed cameras today from using my Sony A7 III to using my iPhone, because it's a little bit easier to shoot on the iPhone for this sort of type of thing, and I'm going to save my Sony for the short films that we'll be making in the future. That's all of it, folks. Great. And also shout out to Theo and to Aaron Hooper, because those two friends of mine left nice comments on the first one. This is not an easy thing to do, and so any form of encouragement really means a lot. And thank you to my wife. Always. Sempre. Sempre, sempre, sempre.